Now, you've all heard of Cartier, I mean, the terribly upmarket French jewellers, but have you ever heard the story of the delightful Cartier defiance of the Second World War? They produced something so exquisitely beautiful. I want you to keep an eye open for these things because they do crop up on the market. But they produced this thing that Jonathan Scatchard, you recognise him, there he is in the background, he's raring to go to tell you the story. Cartier produced this thing during the Second World War as an act of defiance against the Germans. Nazi occupation of France. It's mind-bogglingly interesting. So is Jonathan Scatchard. Here's the story of Cartier's defiance during the Second World War. Now, Jonathan, you tell this story a lot when you give talks to private groups and even the trade, and barely anybody knows about it, do they?
Well, it's a quiet little story, and it's how you can use jewellery in a way of, if this is an act of defiance, but we think back to the suffragettes. They would have their husband buy a piece of jewellery with their colours, with the suffragette colours in them, without them even realising, but everybody knew they were a supporter. Another like-minded person would know that they were supporters. And this is pretty much high society in France, in Paris. They referred to themselves as caged birds when they were occupied. So Cartier did a beautiful little bird in a gold cage. Even the Germans did query why they were doing this, but the lady in charge at the time said, well, we always sell animal brooches, it's just part of our normal thing.
So they got away with it. Because the Germans must have been really on this, looking for little acts of defiance.
Anything like that, yeah, but they couldn't find anything. But the real thing that clinched it was the end when they were no longer occupied. Cartier produced this beautiful little bird in its own colours, so it's red, white and blue colours. The cage's doors were open and the wings were ready as it was just about to fly. So what a great act of defiance that was. I think it was just a nice, subtle, little, wonderful piece of jewellery, which is so collectible now.
But during the occupation in the 1940s, up to 1945, people were genuinely wandering around the streets of Paris wearing these Cartier brooches.
Yes, but obviously in the highest of society, but it was just, you wouldn't think twice, would you?
I mean, incredibly brave.
Yes, you'd have to prove what it was, but obviously it went over the Germans' head enough that they just queried it once, and then it was batted off.
And then it was seen. My goodness me!
Yeah.
And would they have been...
afterwards? It was celebrated, so it was a big celebration to wear these
yes.
little brooches because they were free at last.
Now, of course, being Cartier, would they have been terribly expensive in their day?
Yes, they wouldn't have been cheap, would they? The gold. I think the original one's a little diamond set. So you're looking at the top end of society there.
Right.
There's still money around, apparently. That obviously Cartier traded right through the war. Which
it's quite surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I wonder if they ever sold any to German occupying forces. It's probably quite likely.
The records, yeah. I would think so. I would have thought almost certainly.
The double irony there would be absolutely beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
And what about today? How rare are they?
I've never seen one. I was looking actually to try and find an image for you, and I found one that was sold in Princess Margaret's sale. Went for about, I think it was £15,000 or £18,000, but it was the Freedom brooch. How she's got it, who's given it, who knows? But
and is it referred to in the trade as the Freedom brooch?
It's the Cartier bird brooch. It's those that know, really. And it doesn't always have the story with it, which always surprises me. Sometimes when I've seen them, when they have been in an auction catalogue, it's just been described as a Cartier bird brooch, but the story absolutely nails it for me.
But you know, there could be somebody watching this somewhere in the world, Jonathan, with one of these brooches.
Without a doubt. It's probably been handed down through 2 or 3 generations, and there's no story that's been told, and it's just a little bird brooch that means nothing.
And what do you call these things when they're hidden away somewhere?
Oh, our drawer finds.
A drawer find?
Yeah, you know, in the car trade it's a bound find. We look for drawer finds.
Drawer finds, the perfect Cartier drawer find. So if anyone has one, they've got to just
get in touch, please.
Are you desperate to own it?
I would love to have one, yeah.
Brilliant. Great story. Thanks ever so much, Jonathan.
That's a pleasure. Thanks for letting me tell you.